Ladies and mostly gentlemen, today we are going to talk about artifacts. Now, not those ones that everyone and your nan has. We're going to talk about the history of artifacts in World of Warcraft. Now, prior to Legion, artifact was an item quality above legendary, and there were 8 items which used this quality. Though none of these items were ever meant to be obtained, they did exist in the game files, primarily as GM gear. Now, they used this colour gold to denote their quality. This colour was later reused when heirlooms were introduced. So the artifacts I'm going to show you today are rarer than Haven Games not making a fantastic video. Seriously, the guy's amazing. So without further ado, these are 8 pre-Legion artifacts you might not know existed. First up is an in-game item known as Martin Thunder. Now, this was a main hand weapon, but uniquely does not have any weapon type and can be wielded by any class. Now, it does regular damage, fire damage and frost damage at 71 DPS, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it does actually make it the best main hand weapon in vanilla. It also has 100 armor, 110 fire resistance, 100 nature resistance, 100 frost resistance, 100 shadow resistance, and it also has a use which is kill all enemies in a 30-yard radius cheater. Now, the weapon is likely used by Blizzard for testing purposes. For obvious reasons, this is not accessible by regular players and has only ever been seen wielded by a game master. Now, it uses the same model as the Argent Avenger, which is from a questline in Strathome, and that is the blue lightsaber model. But since patch 3.3, the item's now been changed to Martin's Broken Staff, the rarity was changed to Poor, and the spell effect was changed to the caster commits suicide, instantly killing themselves. So using this item in game, it has 100 charges, has a 5-second cooldown, and the area of effect is huge, but even when it's out of range, it actually still works. So let's have some fun with this. We can actually kill the entire starting zone in a matter of seconds, and we can also kill world bosses with a single blow, and we can even bring Ogrimmar to its knees without moving a single muscle. In Wrath, well, to be honest, there's not much I can say about the Wrath version. I can confirm that the change in use does indeed work. Next up is a shirt called Martin Fury. Now, this shirt is rather unique because it's the only shirt ever to have a required plate to wear it. The display for this item is also the same as a plate chest piece. This shirt also has the exact same spell as Martin Thunder, and it also has 100 charges. It's believed this shirt was used by game masters for testing purposes. This item was also the focus of the Martin Fury scandal. So back in 2009, a mighty gnome warrior known as Karate Chop from the guild The Marvel Family on the server Vec Nilash US received this item from a guild friend who obtained this shirt from a game master by mistake when they were trying to restore his account after being hacked. The guild actually ended up using this item 14 times to one-shot raid bosses in Wrath, such as Uldar, Eye of Eternity, Obsidian Sanctum, earning achievements and loot in the process. Now, the speedy progression actually ended up giving them some of the world's first achievements, even though that wasn't their intention. Blizzard finally caught up with them and decided to ban every member of the guild for 24 hours, regardless of their involvement in the raids. Some of them weren't even aware this was even going on. In the end, Karate Chop's account was permanently banned, which caused him to quit WoW, which is unfortunate because it's not like they hacked the game to obtain this item. So third on this list is Alex's Ring of Audacity, and this is a GM artifact ring. Now, this item strangely shares a display with the engineering item Bronze Framework, so it's kind of like a weird square ring. From vanilla to Wrath, this item had 1000 defense with the quote, "Consider yourself born again, hardcore." Now, this is speculated to be a quote from the film Full Metal Jacket.
Sir, the private's weapon's name is Charlene, sir!
Private Pal, you are definitely born again hard. Hell, I may even allow you to serve as a rifleman in my beloved corps.
Sir, yes, sir!
Having this item in game does actually make you invincible because of the amount of defense that you have, so it's pretty awesome. The name Alex is actually a reference to the YouTuber Alex Central. I'm joking. It's obviously a reference to Alex Afrasiabi, aka Valnoth, who is the creative director of World of Warcraft. So back in vanilla, this artifact weapon popped up in the database, and it was called the Twin Blades of Azzinoth, not to be confused with the legendary set which was added in the Burning Crusade. Now, this item is a one-handed sword, and its model is that of a giant ninja star. So back in vanilla, this item had 143.6 DPS, 75 agility, 100 stam, 150 intellect, 100 shadow resistance, 100 arcane resistance. It had an equip bonus of Consumed by the Fury of Illidan, 1400 attack power against demons, and 20% bonus on chance on hit, and 30% melee haste. It also had a use, which is detached to twin blades, forming 2 separate warglaives, but more on that in a moment. This weapon stayed the same during the Burning Crusade. During Wrath, the DPS was lowered to 134.3, and Cataclysm, the DPS was lowered again to 81.3. But strangely enough, it went up again with Mr. Pandaria. Now in Legion, the weapon's lost all its stats and only does 29.38 damage per second, but it has the same equip bonus and use. My assumption is that the stat changes are merely a consequence of Blizzard doing item scaling across the board, and not an intentional change on this specific item. So now for a bit of lore on this item. Quoted from WoWWiki. The Twin Blades of Azzinoth are a pair of weapons wielded by Illidan Stormrage. Azzinoth was a Doomguard commander who Illidan slew 10,000 years ago. Illidan took Azzinoth's twin warglaives and trained himself to use them. He has become exceedingly efficient with these weapons. When Illidan used the twin warglaives, they were usually connected, but could be disconnected to form separate weapons. Once disconnected, they could be reconnected to form a weapon once more. So as I said before, this weapon has a use. So when it's equipped and you use this item, it casts a spell called the Breaking. What this does is removes the twin blades and splits them off into two separate new artifact weapons. These are called Warglaive of Azzinoth right and Warglaive of Azzinoth left. So these items are not actually main hand and offhand, so in game you can actually equip them the wrong way around, which kind of looks a bit strange. Anyway, these items are both one-handed swords. The left has 135 DPS, 60 agility, 50 stam, 40 intellect, 60 shadow resistance, and 50 arcane resistance. The right sword has 135 DPS, 40 agility, 50 stam, 60 intellect, and 50 shadow resistance, and 60 arcane resistance, and has a use which is connects the twin warglaives of Azzinoth, forming the Twin Blades of Azzinoth. So much like the Twin Blades, when you have both these items on your person, you can click the item and it casts a spell called the Forming, and it merges these items back into one. So these versions of the Twin Blades and both warglaives have never been seen in game. I have no idea what Blizzard's original plan was with these items, and we probably will never know, but these items are not a complete waste though. In patch 4.3 of Cataclysm, Blizzard released the Caverns of Time dungeon, Well of Eternity. Now for all you eagle-eyed players out there, you might have noticed that Illidan Stormrage that appears in this dungeon is actually using the original model for these warglaives. The next artifact we're going to look at is Tiggel's Trashbringer. Now this is an in-game artifact which uses the original low-res model of the Ashbringer, and has been in the game since the start of Wrath of the Lich King. This item is a reference to the former lead game designer of World of Warcraft, Jeffrey Kaplan, who goes by the alias Tiggel. According to a Wowhead commenter, this item was in the Alpha of Wrath, and it was a reward from a placeholder quest for Death Knights to receive their talent points, due to not having a starting zone yet. The item's flavor text says "trash getting you down," which doesn't seem to be a reference to anything in particular, but just a random quote from something. So finally, onto the in-game version of Frostmourne. Now this item was partially shown at BlizzCon in 2007, as you can see here.
So the Lich King is an enemy? Probably not, but Arthas, yeah, potentially. You might kill him. So, Frostmourne. Now, before I go off now, before the item guys come and tear my head off, this was an early idea. We're still working in, we're working the fine details, but the wielder of Frostmourne will become the new Lich King. Sounds interesting. Dynamic, world-changing item. Will you be the new Lich King? So, but there are certain problems with this, and the main one.
You guys, the player's a gnome, right?
Well.
Have the helmet and two curious little feet.
So, right. So that was shot down by the various powers that be, and back to the drawing board with that one.
Now, as we all know, they never did add this item into the game for players to obtain. They eventually added Shadowmourne instead, but during the Wrath of the Lich King, an item with the exact same stats made its way into the game files. So in game, when you equip this item, you gain a buff called Frostmourne, and under that it just says the new Lich King. On closer inspection of this buff, it doesn't actually do anything to you in game. It's merely a little strange buff that the weapon gives you. This item is actually still in the game files today and can be linked in game, but the stats have all but been removed, but the equipped effect still remains. And that's my list. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two that you didn't know before this video. And let me know in the comments what your favourite item on this list is. Now this type of video is a totally new concept to me, but I've had a great time learning about these items and having to play around with them in game. So please leave a like if you like this video and subscribe for more content. And with that guys, I'll see you next time.